All right, lesson 11.5, right? And this lesson has a whole bunch of stuff in it. Right? You can see the four different things that are in here. And it's basically just trying to make sense of data, like trying to organize the numbers and instead of having just a bunch of numbers like 50, 72, 43, 91, 48, what do all those numbers mean? So one of the ways we can make sense of it are using the different things that you see here. Okay, so in this video, we are going to cover the first two. We're going to do percentile, what that means, and how to like calculate a percentile, and then review mean, median, mode. Okay, so a lot of this stuff hopefully is review, right? So it is a lot, but hopefully it's review, and we'll get through at least these first two parts in this first video. Okay, so when I think of percentiles, I always think of my son, who is pretty tiny. All right. He's not very tall or weigh a lot. And so with kids, they'll give you like percentile ranks for their like height and weight. All right. And so percentile is the percent of numbers that you're ahead of or equal to. Sometimes they might just say ahead of, but they also say equal to. So like if they say my son is weight is in the second percentile, then 2% of the kids his age have a weight that is less than or equal to that. So I think the last time we went in, his height was like the ninth percentile or something. So that means he is taller than or equal to 9% of all kids. Okay, and I think his weight last time we were in was something like 7% or something like that. Means his weight, he is greater than or equal to 7% of all the kids his age. Right? He's about 18 months now. So compared to all the other 18-month-year-old kids, that's where he ranks. Okay, and so you often see this like um, in a like your test scores might be in a percentile rank, right? And it just gives you kind of a way to compare to how other people and just if you want to see an example of this that might apply to you is if you took the ACT, this is for most recent ACT data. So basically, if you got a score of 36 as a composite, that would put you greater than or equal to 100% of people. So basically, I guess that's the highest you can get. If you scored, say, a 26 on the composite, you would have been greater than or equal to 82% of people, right? If you scored a 31, that would put you greater than or equal to 95% of people, okay, and so forth and so on, right? And you can even see like a 31 in math would actually put you ahead of 96% of people, right? So I don't know. I thought that'd be kind of interesting. If you want to find your score, you can kind of tell where you compared to the rest of the country. And so I think that's a little more meaningful. Like when you get like a 31, what does that even mean? Well, these percentile ranks can help you make sense of that data. Okay, so as far as like actually finding it, like if you found your ACT percentile rank, what they would take is to do it, they would just take all the people that took the ACT, which would be a lot, but let's just say it's just 100,000 just to make it simple. And then they would say, where do you rank? Where's your position? So if you were ahead of say 95,000 of those people, that's where you'd get your percentile rank, right? And so you'd be in the 95th percentile there. So you take where you're at divided by the total number of positions. Okay, and kind of the tricky part is um, you have to count up from the bottom, right? So it's like the number of positions you're ahead of. That's this top number is the ones that you're ahead of. Okay, so like if we looked at some shoe sizes here, right, and we put them in order, I could add these little index or positions. And when you do the percentile rank, sorry, let me label them out here. So if we do the percentile rank for the 6 right here, right, you'd want to say how many positions is 6 ahead of or equal to? It's ahead of or equal to these 3. So its percentile rank would be 3 out of 10. So it would be the 30th percentile. So in that situation, the shoe size of 6 would be ahead of or equal to 30% of all the shoe sizes. Okay, and you do want to count, like for the 7, you'd count all the way to this one because these positions you're ahead of or equal to all these positions. So for the 7, it would just be 6 out of 10 or the 60th percentile. Okay, so one more question or a couple more questions here. These are the basketball standings. This was taken from a few years ago when the Warriors were really good. and the Lakers are apparently terrible, and the Timberwolves are their usual terrible selves. So, what is a percentile rank for the Warriors, Timberwolves, and then what team would be at the 40th percentile? So pause the video and give these a shot before continuing. All right, so the Warriors I think are interesting because some people would say their like rank is 1 because they're in first place, but again, when you do percentile rank, it's the ones you're ahead of, right? So there's 15 total here, and the Warriors are ahead of all of them, right? So they would be 15 out of 15 or the 100th percentile. They're ahead of or equal to 100% of the teams in the standings from at least this season. All right, the Wolves, on the other hand, we need to count the ones that are ahead of or equal to. That would just be 3. So they would be 3 out of 15. And I think that would be the 20th percentile, 1/5. I think that reduces to. Okay, and then the 40th percentile, I've heard a lot of kids different ways to do this. Basically, one said if the Wolves are the 3rd, then if we go up 3 more spots, then here would be the 40th percentile. That's a good way to think of it. Some people have just divided like 4 by 15, 5 by 15, 6 by 15 until you get the 40th percentile, right? Or you can take 40% of 15 positions, and that'll get you the 6th position. And so the 6th position is the Kings, right? So all of those are valid ways of doing it. The way I'll normally do it in class is just multiply the percentile by the number of spots, and then that's the spot we're looking for, up from the bottom, right? So the Kings are ahead of or equal to 6% of the teams. All right, so we're going to go on to the second part, mean, median, mode, and I think it's good to try to remember these. So I would normally in class have you discuss, but if you want to just pause this quick and then see if you can remember or jot down a quick definition for these before unpausing to see the answer. All right, so the mean is the average, and you just add up the numbers and divide by the number of values. Sorry, I ran out of space there a little bit. The median is the middle number when the numbers are in order. Okay, and then the mode is the one that occurs most frequently. Okay, so mode is the most frequently occurring element. Look at my spelling skills there. Occurring. No, well, I don't know what's going on, but sorry. So mode is the most frequently occurring element, even though I can't spell occurring right. I think there's another R here. Okay, so if we look at these ACT scores real quick, if I wanted to find the mean, I would just add them up and divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have to show you that real quick. So add them all up, right, and then just divide by 8. And we should get a number kind of in the middle of all those, 24.6 by the look of it here. So our mean here would be 24.6. Oops, 6. And then so the median, they're in order, but the exact middle is actually between these two, right? So the median, if you remember this, or you could pause and try to remember this, but it's right in the middle, and so we have to average the 21 and the 25. So you'd add them together and divide by 2, and I think that would be 23. So our median would be 23. And then the mode, there's actually 2 modes, which is what this idea of bimodal is that you see up here. Because there's 2 most frequently occurring elements, I think there'd be 21 and 33. That's called bimodal. So here you have actually 2 modes, 21 and 33. And that can happen. You can have 3 modes, 5 modes, no mode. Here we just happen to have 2. And again, that term is called bimodal. Think of bi meaning 2. Okay, so what I normally do in class is have you collect some data from students about Snapchat, how many Snapchats they have. I like to call it InstaChat. and then find the mean median mode of that data. But I'm just going to throw up some numbers and then maybe see if we can do the mean median mode from those. All right, so here's your numbers. I actually did 9 students instead of 8, just to be different. But there's 9, and then now figure out mean median mode. Pause the video and give it a shot. Okay, so for our mean, we're going to add them all up and divide by 9. Okay, so add them all up and then divide by 9 people total. So on average, it's about 98.6. So mean 98.6. Median, luckily I put them in order already. If they're not in order, you have to order them, which is kind of a pain, but luckily these are already in order. And since there's 9 of them, halfway in the middle is the 5th spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can kind of even visually check. There's 4 here and 4 here. So that is the exact middle, 48. And mode, none of them occur more frequently than the others. So we just write no mode. They all occur exactly once. So we have no mode in this case, which certainly can happen. All right, to close this lesson out, I'm just going to give you 2 kind of summary questions to try. And these are really, the first one's kind of an abstract, weird one. But if you were in the US phone book, what do you think the mode of the last name would be? And there's no right answer to that, but just give it your best. Well, there is, but take your best guess at it. And then number 2 is from, this was a story about my sister who had done pretty well on her first few tests in college, and she wanted to know what she had to do on the last test. Like, did she have to study a lot to get the grade she wanted? So, try that, see if you can make some sense of it, and then on pause to watch the answers. All right, so if you want to see the most common last names, Smith was the winner. Around here might be more like a Johnson or an Anderson. So Johnson's second. I don't know where Anderson is. It's crazy. Anderson's way down here. Around here, it's more common, but we scroll down, we can try to find Westpatal. No Westpatal. Interesting. So, anyways, they just be the most frequently occurring last name, which according to this data would be Smith. All right, and then the last one, I really like this question because I think it's a good example of how you'd use the mean in a little more complex situation. And so basically, there's 5 total tests, and they want it to average 85. So basically, if I was averaging the 5 tests, I would do 87 plus 95 plus 92 plus 88 plus X to represent the 5th and final test. And I would divide all that by 5, and we want it to equal, right, our average of 85. So I think this would be a good way to set it up, is say add up all my test scores and have it equal to, divided by 5 and have it equal to our average 85. Okay, and then it would just be a matter of solving this. So I would probably combine all these next, those 4 numbers, right? And that represents how many points we have so far, right? We have 362 points so far. Okay, and then if we times both sides by 5 here, so I do 85 times 5, I believe that's 425, I think. Should probably check that, but I think that's 425. Okay, that's how many points we need, right? To average 85 on 5 tests, we need 425 points. And since we already have 362, just minus 362, and that'll get us the number of points for the last test. So if we subtract the 362 from both sides, we get 63, meaning, we don't have to score a great score to get our goal of 85, right? So we probably study a little bit, but maybe not a ton, because we're in pretty good shape at this point. So that's it. 2 things from today is mean, median, mode, right? Those just kind of help us make sense of the data, like what is normal in the data. And then percentile gives you a rank compared to everyone else in your age group or category, and it's the percent you're ahead of or equal to. So you always got to count up from the bottom when you're calculating a percentile rank. All right, that is it. Thank you for watching.